warm welcome to Rustenburg Film Festival.
And this year we are bigger, better and better.
But before we go any further, a word from our VIP.
Every filmmaker wants to screen at a festival and have an opportunity to experience audience react to their films and engage in Q&As. Jury members from various countries convene to rate the films in order to determine nominees and winners. I wish all films in competition the best.
Rustenburg Film Festival started far back as Bojanala Film Week.
And in 2020, it was rebranded to Rustenburg Film Festival.
And to date, we have over 1,000 filmmakers that have benefited from workshops and information sessions.
This year, Rustenburg Film Festival went into full screening mode, inviting filmmakers from all over the world to submit their stories.
This year, we received 453 film submissions from 33 countries. 55 films from 16 countries were selected.
The Rustenburg Film Festival was inspired by seeing a lot of graduates, especially in the Northwest province, not being able to access the industry, especially within our province. And then again, seeing a lot of people that were interested in the industry and could not afford going to film school and so forth. So we decided to build a platform where we can have all these filmmakers and wannabe filmmakers to come together and network and have access to the information pertaining the film industry.
As a festival, our key mandates are to develop filmmakers in Rustenburg and Northwest in general. We do this by programming workshops which are relevant to their times and getting very well experienced filmmakers to facilitate.
Another key mandate of the Rustenburg Film Festival is to promote. We promote talent through screening in various platforms, exposing the talented filmmakers to key industry players.
Our key mandate that happens organically at the festival is Connect. It is at this time where we bring broadcasters, funders, distributors, sellers, buyers, anybody who is important in the value chain under one roof. As a festival, we are grateful to the stakeholders that have been with us since the beginning. We are very excited to have retained some of them and really looking forward to be having more stakeholders on board so that we are able to reach out more to the people who really need to be part of our journey.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. B. And I'd like to greet everyone that is watching and on site for this Rustenburg Film Festival panel discussion on co-productions, but not just co-productions, in particular co-productions among African countries, co-productions among African filmmakers, co-producing films and co-producing content amongst ourselves, but also co-producing films with other parts of the world as well. And I'm going to ask Mr. B to just let me in and let me know on who else in the back room has already joined the panel. We are supposed to have Jackie Mutsepe representing the KZN Film Commission, as well as Michael and Prince. Are they in the room, Mr. B?
Jackie is in the room for now.
Okay. Hello, Madam Jackie. How are you?
Hi, Libone. I'm fantastic. It's wonderful to see you. I'm good.
Awesome. I can't see you yet, but I understand that you are coming to us live from Niger, live in Lagos. Hello, Jackie. Mr. B, the controller, have we still got Jackie on the
I'm here. I'm here. My mic is on. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now.
For some reason, I can't switch on my mic and camera at the same time, but my mic is on.
Okay, no, 100%, 100%. No, I was just opening the discussion because it's just the two of us on the line at the moment. And we've got an audience of about 40 young film enthusiasts, as well as established film professionals sitting at the Rustenburg Film Festival. And I was just opening by saying that you are coming to us, not only you're in Lagos at the moment, you are coming to us live from a film festival in Nigeria.
I hope you can hear me now. Hello?
Yes, Jackie,
Yes,
we can't hear you. There was a challenge, maybe, I don't know. Mr. B, is there an issue with the audio?
no, it's fine this side. Just go ahead.
Oh, but that I can't hear Jackie when she's speaking, sir.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Can you say something, Sis Jackie?
Okay. Yes, I'm saying that I'm in Lagos, Nigeria, at the Africa International Film Festival. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear
you. Wonderful. Yes. No, we've been here the whole week. The festival actually ended yesterday. So at the moment, we're in a place called Ageje. I hope I'm saying that right. But we're visiting an animation studio here where they're producing Nigerian animation films.
No, Jackie, I think given that we're still waiting for the other panelists, I'm going to really be personal on this initial discussion and say that the panelist that is leading this discussion at the moment in Jackie, as the current Chief Operations Officer at the KZN, has a long history of having this vision and this passion for making sure that South Africa works not only with the globe, but particularly with the African continent, Jackie. You've been at this for more than 25 years, Jackie. The successes that you are about to tell us now in terms of the two films that you've been able to co-produce or facilitate the co-production of, it's been a very long journey. How has your journey with this principle of trying to work amongst African countries been? Are you able to just give us an overview in a historical context?
Certainly, yes, Libone. It has been quite a journey, over 20 years, as you say, probably over 25 years. I wouldn't be surprised. But, and part of the journey was with you, even, Libone, really that passion that we have for forging partnerships with our counterparts on the African continent. The fact of the matter is, and we've been having these discussions throughout the week in Lagos, we don't have any co-production treaty with any African country. Yes, there have been discussions. My understanding is that there is a draft treaty with Nigeria, as well as Kenya and Algeria. But, despite that, we still feel that it's important that we prioritize partnerships on the continent, and we really try and see how we can co-produce content. So we've been coming to the Africa International Film Festival in Lagos since 2014. And we specifically targeted Lagos and Nigeria because they are the biggest filmmaking destination on the continent, third in the world after Hollywood and Bollywood. And we said that, look, let's explore Nollywood. Let's see how they make their films. Let's understand how they actually have a film economy, because they contribute significantly to the GDP. So we've been coming here, we've been studying the industry, we've been forging partnerships. And throughout all this, we've actually made one film, Comatose, which was shot partly in Durban and also in Lagos, Nigeria. Mickey Dube is the South African producer of the film. And we've also literally about to go into production with our second film. This is going to be shooting in Durban in the next 2 to 3 weeks. In fact, we've been meeting the cast here, which has been really amazing, and they're all excited and preparing themselves to travel to South Africa, to Durban. The film is also a co-production, and it's really exploring the Zulu culture, the Igbo culture. It's a romantic comedy it's entitled Ntlaulo Damages, and you can just imagine how rich that storyline is going to be with the clash of cultures, two cultures on the continent. So we've also been traveling, though, to Kenya, Nairobi, at the Kalasha film market. And through that collaboration, we have a film that we've been developing. In fact, it's concluded its development process. And it's also just now, raising finance for production. We've been to, your Zanzibar International Film Festival we attended for the first time. And as we do all of this, not only are we forging partnerships, but we're also screening our films, our South African films, so that our films can also reach a broader audience. There is an interest, I must say, in South African content. I mean, the screenings that we had here for our films were packed. I mean, generally speaking, the audiences do support local content. They attend cinema, but they were specifically looking for the South African films. So that is something that we really try and do, and I'd really encourage filmmakers that do have films, when AFRIF opens, that you do submit your film. We've got filmmakers from all over the continent here. We've got filmmakers from the diaspora, whether it's your UK, America, the Caribbean. So it really is a good place to build networks in the industry and really portray your work. So yes, we definitely have 2 films in the making, and we've actually had really, really good discussions about future projects going forward. We also have a delegation of filmmakers here, so though we are speaking as the provincial entity, the Provincial Film Commission, our filmmakers are then actually able to have discussions around, content, around co-producing. And I must say they've been very excited by the whole experience, and also very excited about the potential of the story that can explore, different aspects of, South Africa and Nigeria, and really just see how that works together and look at the similarities that we have between the 2 countries. So yes, it's been a a long quest, but you know, I think slowly we are beginning to see results. And really, in our world, those results are the movies that get made at the end of the day. But we've been having very serious discussions about co-productions here, and our consul general has also been very interested and very supportive in the work that we're doing here. Thanks. Can you hear me?
Your mic is mute, Lebode.
I'm not. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're okay now.
Yes.
And we've got Azza has managed to join.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Aha. No, before even going and commenting on what Jackie has just said, please can I give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, please?
You're on mute, Azza.
Azza? Yes.
Okay. Now is okay?
Yes.
Now is okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. Yes.
Because I am new to stream yard. I am Azza Al-Husseini, a filmmaker from Egypt, and also a co-founder and the executive director of Luxor African Film Festival. Now 11th edition in Luxor City, Egypt.
Thank you very much for that intro, Azza. What had just happened in the discussion so far is that we've got Madam Jackie Mutsepe, who is the other panelist on here with us. And she was just giving us an overview of the over 25 years of a journey of the new South Africa, putting in place, most importantly, the policy and the infrastructure and the resources that, although we have not reached the pinnacle of our success, we are beginning to see the fruits of the work for over the 25 years in terms of this vision of collaborating with other African filmmakers in producing content, of collaborating with distributors in making sure that we share some of the African content. I'd like to maybe just bring you in from a Luxor perspective and say that Jackie had mentioned one important element at the top of her introduction, to say that South Africa does not have any co-production agreements with any specific African country. 25 years into this journey. However, we have 8 co-production agreements with parts of Europe and also with South America in the form of Brazil. Co-production is seen as an important instrument. How do you,
yes,
in Egypt, what is the case?
Yes, I want to say something first, that
Yes.
as Luxor African Film Festival, we are believing in African support. Of course, we are all as African countries made many co-productions with Europe and with America, with other countries outside Africa. Now, why, if we usually ask this question, why we don't co-produce with each other and support each other? For Egypt, before we had many co-production with the Northern African countries. But frankly speaking, we didn't start yet with the sub-Saharan countries of Africa. We believe it is very important to to reserve our identity and to make really films reflects our issues, our problems honestly, not because the fund wants blah blah blah. Also, I want to say that it's very important for the government of our countries to active the mutual agreement concerning culture. I know that Egypt, for example, has many agreements with African countries, but it's not. It is dead. It's not active. This is very important. If we reactivate those kind of agreement with each other, we could, as a civil society, benefit to help and support the African film industry.
I thank you very much, Aza, and I think that before I allow our other two colleagues from Botswana and from Lesotho to come in, Jackie, I'd like you to just pick up on what Aza was saying. I think it's very important to say that it's not just about having agreements, it's about making sure that you actually implement those agreements, that you have the resources and the skill to be able to work on those co-productions. So beyond the vision and the will to just put an agreement in place, there's actually the work that takes place. Are you able to speak about how some of the work that you've done, Jackie? I mean, you've done matchmakings at film festivals. You've made sure that filmmakers work together without these co-production agreements existing. As filmmakers, we are left to our woes to make sure that we try and work together as Africans, even in the absence of these agreements.
Yes, absolutely, and it's really critical that we continue doing that. I mean, Azza, this is the second panel that we do together, and I love your spirit. I love your passion. You know, we need to get together and make something happen. You know, we really do. It's about time South Africa and Egypt really start talking. But yes, you know, like I'm saying, we, of course, we want the co-production treaties to be there. But I know from my days at the National Film and Video Foundation, we've been having these discussions really for over 15 years, perhaps 20 years, and we don't have a treaty, you know. So, you know, we've just decided that rather waiting for a treaty to happen, let's start working on the projects. Let's bring filmmakers together. We've brought, you know, Kenyan filmmakers, Nigerian filmmakers, you know, to Durban to meet with the local industry, and also vice versa. We've taken them to, you know, Kenya, Nairobi, Zanzibar, so that those collaborations can happen. Because, you know, the treaties in themselves are ineffective if the filmmakers don't actually make use of them. So if it can start with the filmmakers can start making their films together. These films, you know, get screened, distributed in the different festivals in the different markets. Maybe then, you know, the different governments can become convinced that actually we need to put something in place, because these films are happening anyway, you know. So we're doing all we can to stimulate that. You know, we've been having one-on-one sessions. We had a 2-day, what we call speed dating, KZN Film Commission, and we were meeting one-on-one with producers, ourselves, as well as our filmmaker delegation, so that outside of the networking sessions, they can actually sit around a table and start talking partnerships, start talking projects. But even if it's just getting to know each other, you know, you don't necessarily have to have a project immediately, but get to know other filmmakers in the different African countries, get to understand what projects they're working on, what are they interested in, what do they want to produce. That's how it all starts, you know. And you'll know, Lebone, that we've been doing it, like you say, with you know, the different European countries that we've got treaties with. We've been doing all these matchmaking sessions, and they do work. We've got a lot of films that have come out through the 9 treaties that we have, a lot of films that have been successfully co-produced. So we're doing the same thing, but, you know, with filmmakers in the continent in the absence of a treaty, because it starts with the filmmakers. It's well and good for a producer to speak to us as someone from the Film Commission. We may be interested in their project, you know, we may like it, think it's a good idea, but we cannot make it happen without the filmmakers. So that's why we always have a delegation of filmmakers that travel with us to these destinations.
No, Jackie, thank you very much for that. And I'd like to invite our two colleagues from Botswana in particular, as well as from Lesotho, Prince Monna from Botswana and Aubrey from Lesotho. Aubrey and Prince, can I ask you to, in order, please just quickly introduce yourself and then we can proceed.
All right, Lebone, just give Prince another 45 seconds. He's still connecting, okay?
Okay. While Prince is connecting, I'll just pick up on one thing that Azza and Jackie said. And it is this thing of doing it on your own and not waiting for either a funder or a co-production agreement to be in place before you make the initiative to work with other African countries. I think that as South Africa, we've lived an experience where we were very excluded from our counterparts in the African continent, all the way up north in Egypt, but more specifically in the West African region in Francophone Africa. And we've spent quite a considerable time trying to forge those relationships beyond just the space separation, where we're dealing with other issues of language separation between the Anglophone and Francophone Africa within those absences of any agreement or any funding. But we have come up with models that are beginning to work and to show rewards. We are working particularly with national broadcasters. We grew up under the gaze of the Haile Gerimas and the Osman Sembenes, and at that time, our national broadcasters were not functional. Right now, we are challenged with new players in the industry, international streamers that are coming into the market as well and offering other opportunities. So for a country that is beginning to develop its industry like Botswana, for a country that is really at its nascent level like Lesotho, I'd like to hear the perspective to say, how can we assist to fast track the development of those working relationships, Azza and Jackie, as I bring in is Prince and Michael online? And Aubrey.
They are still connecting. They are almost there. Sorry about that.
Okay. No, we'll continue with the discussion, and I'll throw the discussion back to Azza then on that particular note. To say, Azza, please tell us that.
Yes, you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please continue.
Oh, yes, I want to say something. It's very important, the point mentioned before about the young filmmakers who could firstly collaborate with each other from different countries. For example, it happens 2 years ago between Egyptian producer and the Sudanese director. The film was You Will Die at 20, and it was a successful experience. This is kind of a procedure could help, but how can we give the platforms to those young to meet and to interact like in a workshop or a panel of the discussion or a forum that urge those young filmmakers to collaborate together? We usually make workshops in acting, directing, cinematographing, documentary, fiction, short, but I didn't hear that I don't know if we have like this kind of workshop to how collaborate from different countries to make one movie or one documentary or one short. It is very important. For Luxor, for example, we had the Ittisal Film Fund who helped like 12 shorts to be produced from about 8 countries. And this kind of co-production, but you know, is still very, very, very little numbers if we compare them with what we need more and more. So, with our effort, collaborating with each other, we need also the governmental effort. We need also the television, the TV channels to collaborate, buying the films produced by filmmakers from another African countries to show those films. From another point of view, the producers should give or dedicate films to national televisions after like 5 years of production to let other citizens in our various countries to be shown or to be watched. Also, the subtitles also is a must accessibility to have films, African films, with many language subtitles. It's a way to, spread this kind of ideas.
No, I thank you very much. You really wrote a whole essay and touched on most of the elements that are both challenges as well as opportunities that we face as filmmakers. But I'm going to then ask both the gentlemen from Lesotho and from Ghana, Prince and Aubrey, to just having heard what Aza was saying, just catch us a picture maybe, because Aza may not know what is happening in Botswana in terms of the film industry and your aspirations of co-producing with either South Africa or with Egypt, and even between Botswana and Lesotho. So please share your story of your initiatives and your vision for co-producing with other African countries.
Lipone, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I am going to have to leave. Yeah, as I said, I'm visiting a studio at the moment, and the transport is actually just about to leave. I do apologize.
We really appreciate what you have done for us by your availability, Jackie, and thank you very much. But before you go, I'll just say one particular thing. Jackie, the 40 people that are sitting in the room in Rustenburg right now are sitting in a province without their own film commission. When you have been speaking and you have been saying, we have done this, you are saying that we means the KZN Film Commission. The importance of a film commission, the importance of film festivals as networking opportunities remains very important. And I applaud you and the KZN Film Commission for continuing, but I also challenge the audience in the Northwest sitting at this festival to say, please work very hard to make sure that in your province, you have an organization that is similar to the organization that Jackie represents, so that it can assist to create these kinds of platforms that Jackie is speaking about. Thank you very much, Jackie, and do enjoy Lagos further.
Thank you so much, and good luck really to the Rustenburg Film Festival. Kia knows that I'm always there, I'm always available, and I really wish you good luck going forward. Please, please, please set up a film commission in the Northwest Province. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you. We're about to set up a twinning relationship with Luxor. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, so on that particular note, can I ask maybe then Prince to just come in and share his experiences, as we were saying?
Yeah, thank you very much. But I kind of missed most of the talks because my internet was giving me a problem. So maybe if you can put me to the speed, then I'll comment from there. Thank you.
With pleasure. The core of the discussion was around the importance of producing together as African countries or African filmmakers, and making sure that not only do we produce content together, but that our content is seen in the various regions across the continent. So I was asking you to share your experience in Lesotho or in Botswana to say, what are your aspirations and your challenges in trying to co-produce and co-distribute content with other African countries?
Okay, thank you very much. By way of introduction, I'm Prince Munna from Botswana Film Association. I'm the sitting chairperson of that organization. It's the question that you're asking is very important and very relevant to us in Botswana, especially. Now, it's relevant in two ways. The first very important, relevance is the fact that as a country, our population is very small. So in terms of monetizing our content on our own, we will not be able to achieve our objectives at the level at which we might be wanting to do that. Now, having said that,
1.2 million people.
It's about 2.2 million people thereabout.
2.2. So, okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, we're very small. But having said that, I think in our country we are battling with, commercializing the industry or professionalizing the film and television industry. One of the issues that is really bedeviling the industry in our country is that of legislation. And the last speaker who just left, I heard them speaking about the film commission. We don't have a film commission to start with. So in that regard, we're unable to, collate proper data in terms of the activity that happens in the country. And we don't have the legislation that speaks to how the film industry at a commercial and business level can be operationalized. So those are the two major issues that we're grappling with. And at the moment, as a country, we are working tirelessly to review the Cinematography Act of 1970 so that it can give credence to the establishment of the Film Commission. And that is the issues that we're dealing with at the moment. Now, our country has just ratified the 2005 UNESCO Convention. And I do sit as well in that panel, which is about to establish some regulation to that effect. And one of the issues that is at our fore in that regard is really to say, how do we, as we begin to create a body of legislation, how do we inculcate issues of co-production so that we can not only augment the skills that we have, but also play into the bigger spectrum of the audiences around Africa. And one of the issues that has been very, very of utmost importance to me was the study that was done by UNESCO, and it's a publication that they've just released. They conducted a study on film and television in Africa, and they found that film and television in Africa contributes 20 billion to the African GDP, and it employs 20 million people. It creates 20 million, employment. And I think this is a challenge to our countries to now, take advantage of these figures and ensure that at international and at African level, we collaborate and produce and share skills around these issues. Yeah,
I really thank you very much, and I think the international context that you have set for us in terms of, when you speak about the various UNESCO conventions and the various agreements, you are part of a global world, right? And so in that global world, as Africans ourselves, we've tried to put together our own Pan-African legislative frameworks. We've tried to put together our own Pan-African institutions. I have personally been part of a process since the year 2000 to try and set up what is called the Pan-African Convention on Cinematographic and Audiovisual Collaboration, which is an instrument that is based within the cultural unit of the African Union. I can 100% guarantee you that at the last meeting of the African Union heads of state, those documents were signed. However, we are awaiting the ratification of that agreement by the member countries of the African Union. And to date, not a single country has signed an agreement that we as filmmakers have worked as part of the Pan-African Federation of Filmmakers, FEPASI, to draft for 15 years. So I'm throwing the responsibility back and I'm applauding this process of the establishment of national filmmaker organizations that are going to lobby our governments further to create this environment for us to be able to collaborate. And on that particular note, I'd like to invite Dr. Aubrey from Lesotho to, I think, in a similar way that Dr. Munna just did, to just give us an overview of the landscape and the challenges. Dr. Aubrey?
Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, clearly, thank you.
All right, okay, thank you very much. My name is Chris Linyana, and I live in East London in South Africa. I'm actually not from Lesotho, and I like this thing that I'm from Lesotho that you just said, because I think it speaks exactly to collaboration, that I'm working with people in Lesotho to the point that people even think that I'm from Lesotho. So that's a good thing. Another thing that's also a compliment for me also about Lesotho is my surname, because it sounds Lesotho, Silinyana, and there's a surname in Lesotho which is Sedinyane. Yeah, and I would like just to take this time then to just greet everyone who's watching. And I think I heard something about Jackie. Is it right, Jackie?
Yes, she just excused herself. She was in Lagos, but she's just excused herself.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
So
well,
moment,
I think I heard Jackie's voice. But I also see Aza from Egypt. So Aza, yeah, we know each other for many platforms of filmmakers with Aza. Essentially, on the part of collaboration, what I would like to say, just in relating to the work that I do with my colleagues, and I am here, by the way, at the Rustenburg Film Festival, not alone. I'm here with another colleague from South Africa, but then we are also with two other colleagues from Lesotho. We came to that, and that also speaks to the collaboration as well. You know, that we are people from two different countries who've come to be part of the Rustenburg Film Festival together. And we are working on a collaborative project whereby we have a film festival that takes place both in Lesotho and in South Africa. We also have got emerging filmmaker incubation programs that have a duration of 3 years, where filmmakers are being put on this incubation program. But then one of the essential components of these incubation programs is that us in the leadership management of the program, we facilitate collaborations between our filmmakers in Lesotho and South Africa and in other countries. So one of the things that I think collaboration hinges on, it hinges on opportunities and being aware of how the different countries can complement each other. One of the inroads that South Africa has made is basically more growth as far as the film industry is concerned, whereby then you find that in Lesotho, you find that the film industry is less developed. But then you find Lesotho has got a very, very good strength in terms of the beauty of the location, hence it's called the Mountain Kingdom. And the vast amounts of water that it has and the rich culture that its people have as well. And then when you put together what is in South Africa with what is in Lesotho, then you find that people can actually work together and develop both destinations in the film industry, which is what we are doing. And then what we are doing is over and above what other people are doing, because the industry is a very, very big thing. And then you have different people working in different aspects of the industry. And then over time, then you begin to realize growth. So just then for the first part of my introductory remarks, I would like to say we are having an event that is called the King Moshoeshoe Film Festival, which we named after the legendary king of Basotho, which is King Moshoeshoe I. And we are having a festival that takes place in Ladybrand, which is a town in the Free State province in South Africa, and also it takes place simultaneously in Maseru. It's called the King Moshoeshoe Film Festival. We have taken advantage in our collaboration of the fact that the two towns, even they are in two different countries, but they are only 20 kilometers apart. So we have initiated what we call a cross-border event, where we have events that are in the other destination and others are in the other destination. We are going to be going in full swing on this in 2023, but we're launching the festival in March, which is going to be Moshoeshoe month in 2022. So I think then I can come in later on or respond to a specific question that you will answer. But those are my introductory remarks on this discussion. Thank you.
You've said a mouthful, and you are welcome. And I hope I'm as welcome among this community of activists. Because the truth about what I have gathered from what everyone has said here is that there is this passion. But this passion is driven by two particular reasons. It is one, the cultural reasons behind collaborating, the importance of communication, the importance of knowing each other and creating platforms for us to meet and exchange ideas and stories and tell our people common stories, but also the business side of the opportunity. But the business side is the one that has always been the challenge, because the business side requires, as we've been saying, legislative framework. The legislative framework must be funded. It cannot just be a law and then the law is not funded, because then it becomes useless, and then implemented. So in terms of what has happened in South Africa in particular, I reiterate, despite the commitment of our national government to the Pan-African ideal, it has not been followed by actual concerted action. The action to collaborate amongst the filmmakers on the continent has been left to the whims of individual filmmakers to develop different business models of making sure that we work together amongst each other. I'd like to ask Azza to just come in and to share some of the experiences of particularly projects that you know about, that you would say these are projects that we should be latching onto, whether it is projects within training, whether it is projects within, I know, for example, even in terms of people that are film critics, you know, we need people that are going to talk about our films together. Now we are all online, but we don't have somebody telling, we haven't created those sort of networks. So if you are able to just tell us about successes and maybe some of the opportunities going forward from your perspective, Azza. Mute. Azza, you're still on mute?
Yes, you are right. We have to raise the awareness of this very, very important issue. Of course, we are here, all of us, because we are doing that. We are trying to create platforms. We are trying to collaborate together with other colleagues from other countries, African countries. The problem is how to expand this. It is just now on the level of individual, of the number who are attending that and this. How can we raise the awareness about this issue? Maybe creating a special platform. Maybe, as you said, the critics. We once as Luxor, we usually make like round tables for African film critics to talk about issues facing the African film industry and make recommendation. We try to do something. We for example, we made artistic or filmmaking workshops in Mauritania, in Morocco, in Sudan, in Tanzania. We made those kind of workshops, but still we don't have all means to expand, to really expand. I believe that the important question now is how to expand. I think, as you said about South Africa, like we need a new awakened thought to be, you know, to be motivated, to be promoting throughout Africa about this issue by using our connection, by our networking, and also I believe individuals or like entities, civil societies entities cannot work in this individually. We have to attract the TV channels, the national TV channels, and the ministers of culture in the African countries. We have to activate the agreements between African countries also with our effort.
I really appreciate that. Please, if I can ask you to, from a Botswana perspective, you mentioned some of the challenges that you are facing in terms of making sure that you deal with even like just the intellectual property laws in Botswana are currently going under review. The content commissioning processes at the level of the Botswana broadcaster, the ownership of the broadband infrastructure in Botswana as well. So I'm mentioning all of these to highlight that even though you said that you've got a population of 2.2 million people, you've got platforms, you've got opportunities, and you've got challenges. What we are speaking about here is that there's precedent. One of the things that hurt me the most is that after 25 years of trying to do exactly the same thing, what happens is that when we meet at platforms like this as knowledgeable experts, we do not contact each other and say, can you come and be a researcher to help us show where you have gone and how this has happened? I think that it is important to learn from what people like Jackie Motsepe have been able to achieve at South African level. South Africa's success has taken a very long time. But we want to be able to get to a point where as SADC, just as SADC, we are able to have some sort of a framework for working together. So in Botswana at the moment, with all of those opportunities that I've highlighted, what would you say a South African filmmaker or a filmmaker in Botswana should actually be looking forward to in terms of making sure that when they tell their stories, they have a Pan-African footprint and vision in mind?
Yeah, okay, that's a very important question. And I have already initiated some dialogue with people that I've met here at the Rustenburg Film Festival, because we do realize as a country that we have a long way to go, but we are privileged to have neighboring countries like South Africa who have already started the task. They've started the lobbying, they've already started lobbying. They've already started, discussing issues, and they've tested the legislation. They've tested the creation and the establishment of the business environment within which film can thrive. And we are looking forward to those type of collaborations at that level. Having said that, in Botswana, I think for one to be able to collaborate with the African nations to produce something, first and foremost, we need to be able to have legislation that supports and that can be able to facilitate the dialogue between bargaining parties. And I think at the moment, we don't have that. The starting point, if I sit down with you at the table and we talk collaboration at a business level, what guides me, and until we were able to get the principle, the basic level principle at a business level, that which will guide us to enter into discussions of collaborations, I think we will probably be, asking for lawsuits between partners. So, and I think what we are looking for as Botswana, because we have wildlife, we've got locations, we've got everything, we've got the political will from the government, although things have not yet started. So I would say for us to do that, we first have to ensure that we have a film commissioning office, so that everything can be done properly from the commissioning office. We can be facilitated with laws. We can be facilitated with rate cards. We can be facilitated with intellectual property laws. Our intellectual property laws are well established, and I have had the privilege to chair Botswana Copyright Society of Botswana, which is COSBOT, which is almost an equivalent of SAMRO around here. So the supplement of that one is there already. But when it comes to now paying royalties and residuals to individuals, we don't have that. It is not yet started. So whereas we might be wanting to expand into the African footprint, we are probably jumping the gun. We won't be able to understand what we are doing. We won't probably be able to get the benefit without the legislation supporting us. I think that would be my 2 cents with regards to your question.
Ramona, as you are speaking, I go back to very practical examples. And one of the gentlemen that is the facilitators of this discussion that we are having working backstage is a young man called Mr. B. Bongintanka Ngube. Bongintanka Ngube is a pioneer in the sense that what Bongintanka Ngube did was that he independently, and I go back to that word, he independently made sure that he produces a drama series in Botswana with actors from Botswana, with a crew from Botswana. Mr. Ngube has been living in South Africa and is South African with Zimbabwean roots. He has a passion as an independent filmmaker. He did not wait for anybody to say that they're going to buy this. He established relationships with broadcasters in Botswana. He established relationships with broadcasters here. But the most important thing is that he became a shareholder in this international series that he has created. It may not be Game of Thrones, but he made the effort. I challenge that the Aubrey, and I bring you into the discussion to say, are you able to follow that I was saying, speak to some of the kinds of projects that you are saying you are working on outside of the film festival, the Musosho Film Festival? Are there any content projects that you are particularly working on in collaboration between South Africa and Lesotho?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for that. I understand that when we are discussing collaboration today, there might be a big focus on collaboration between filmmakers. What we have found in Lesotho was a necessity, was also collaboration across other sectors that are not the film industry, but that are related to take advantage of the opportunities that exist. So I'll just give you an example to illustrate the point. We set up the King Mushwashwa Film Festival, and we created a Facebook page for it. And if you can go and check now, the following of the King Mushwashwa Film Festival is 36,000 followers on Facebook. We're talking about an event that has not been launched, that has not even taken place for that matter. And if you can compare it to other film festivals, you'll find that they don't have the following that we've managed to achieve. Now then, if you can go deeper into how did we manage to get the whole country to follow this festival, we sort of took an approach, firstly, of acknowledging that the film industry in Lesotho is still extremely underdeveloped. So programs that you have to do have to be things that are going to be linked to things that people are already following. And so then we took the decision that our film festival will also have a cultural pageant, a Miss Lesotho cultural pageant, because Basotho love their country. And then the other thing also that we noted was going to be a good collaborative angle was the issue of sport. So we partnered then with the Beauty Pageants Association of Lesotho to be given the license to run the Miss and the Miss Culture Lesotho pageant. And we also partnered with the Federation of Athletics Lesotho to host the King Moshoeshoe Marathon. Those are just a few examples. But the point I'm coming is that we collaborated across other sectors. So as filmmakers or as people that are running a film sector platform event, we decided that we're going to collaborate with people in the other fields like fashion, pageantry, and sport. And that collaboration is what has helped our festival to have such following, because this cultural pageant is followed a lot by Basotho, and hence you see that our numbers are like sky high, and then that's the first thing. Then what we did then is we decided that we wanted to produce a TV series of this much followed cultural pageant. This is where we were able to bring together the art of filmmaking with pageantry. So then we've made a presentation with a local broadcasting house, the Lesotho Television, other people call it LTV, to host, to be able to run a TV series. We are busy shooting that now. Now then, I'm coming to your point then, Mr. Maima, about the project that we are running. So that's an example. And then the other thing also, we are also having an athletics program that we're going to be shooting also and screening on the same station.
No, I really appreciate what you've just said, Dr. Aubrey, because I think that when you were saying that there are other ancillary industries that are linked to the film industry, I thought that you are going to speak about how the construction industry is related, how we are dependent on the electricity functioning in the country to be able to produce films. How we work together with, and I think that's one of my biggest challenges as I bring in Aza into this part of the discussion. How we really work together to bring in the training, how we come together to say that filmmaking, content production and distribution is not a knack. It's not something that you just say, I just want to do this. It's a profession. I think that Tate Monna spoke about one particular word that I docked on, and it is the professionalization of the industry in Botswana and the processes. In the 8 or so years that you've been running the Luxor Festival, Aza, what would you be able to focus on around the importance of training and developing training programs towards ensuring this common standards, this professionalization that we are speaking about, that if we are not working on a similar professional standard, then we are not going to be able to collaborate. If you can speak a bit about that, please.
Yes, I want to say 2 points in this issue. First, we as Luxor, from the first edition, we are now preparing for our 11 years. From the first one, we launched an African film workshops. It is like gathering of the young African talent, making ideas and working on it, then coming to Luxor, finalized like a short film, 3 or 4 minutes, the script, shooting the films in Luxor, finalizing the films in Luxor, screening the films by the end of the festival. And for 5 years, the award-winning filmmaker, the Ethiopian Haile Gerema, was the leader of this workshop, and we're still making it every year. Is like 10 from 10 African countries are participating in this, with like 4 or 5 from Egypt because of the cost, and like we produce like average of 20 like 12 shorts. The training is very important to be professional. This is the first the first term. To be professional, you have to train, you have to educate, you have to learn. Okay. The second thing I want to say, because Said Fuad is the co-founder of Luxor, and in the meantime he is the head of Nile Cinema channel television in our national TV. He wants to propose a very, very good proposal for all the African films who are not, like promoting or marketing or even moving now just for like tributes or something. Why not we as a televisions buy those kind of film by, his proposal was buying films by like $1,000 for each, because the national television, has no big budget. But the screening of those kind of films in like Egyptian television is very important, because Egyptian television has like 400 million audience to watch the films. So this is this kind of opportunity that the filmmaker need to know that, as you said, his film will be selling, and his film will be showed. The two issues. Not what is the benefit if I produce film now and where it goes. Just by if you have the opportunity to sell it to Netflix or what kind this kind of platform, which is not available for each produced film. I still think
I want to ask Aza. I've just received a text message to say that I need to wrap this discussion in the next few minutes by 1:30. But I want to ask for one particular thing from you, Aza. The experience that you spoke about of saying that a film festival is an integral part of the development of the filmmakers at a local level.
Yeah.
The oldest film festival on the African continent, FESPACO, runs what today is called the Wanga Film Lab. It is one of the great programs that I believe in terms of facilitating collaboration and training for young filmmakers, ensuring a continuity of narrative from the filmmakers of the 60s and the 70s, where you find that particular generation of a Gaston Kabore, of a Haile Gerema, as you would say, you have in Luxor, sharing, like literally handing over the baton to the next generation. I would like to, in closing, challenge you, Aza, to say, I have been on the background part of this particular Rustenburg Film Festival when it was just a small Bujanala event. In a very short space of time, this particular event has grown. And one of the things that I've said to the team is that when we host panel discussions, we don't host talk shops. Our panel discussions are meetings, are thinking, thought sharing idea platforms. I'm going to challenge you to say one of the strategies that we've worked on over the years as people in the African film landscape has been this principle of twinning. So I'm going to challenge you and say, when we come back to the Rustenburg Film Festival in 2022, I'm challenging you and the director of the Rustenburg Film Festival to please work on a twinning agreement. I've invited Haile Gerema to come to South Africa and stay and eat in my house with my children And I'm blessed to have had that opportunity. I would love for any other young South Africans to go through the experience that I've had. The fact that somebody like Ava DuVernay has now accepted Haile Gerima as the leading African filmmaker in the world and has consequently made the world acknowledge him when we have been working for over 30 years to say that this is our leader, means that there's a lot of value in the work that we've been doing. So I challenge you, Azza, to say, please consider a twinning program between Luxor and Rustenburg Film Festival. Continue your discussions with Mr. B. I think that there'll be a lot of value for us when we come back next year. And on that note, I'm going to ask all three of the panelists to, in as short as possible, just throw in your closing remarks. But in those closing remarks, as a word of encouragement to the young filmmakers that are in the room in Rustenburg and that are watching online, to say, why should they continue to sacrifice their career, their time towards this passion and towards this economic opportunity of collaborating with African filmmakers and content producers? So you can just wrap up each individually, and then I'll close at the end. But maybe let's start with our last speaker, Aubrey. You can start the closing remarks. Aubrey, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear. Collaboration among African filmmakers is really something that is a necessity now, especially because our continent, we live in a continent that is not predominantly an industrial, economy. So you find that we have the riches in terms of the beauty of our locations. Africa is well endowed in that area. To this day, we are still one of the leading tourism destinations. And I believe if it were not for things like the civil wars and the unrest in other countries, we could actually see more of that. So I think young people, this is the first thing that they need to understand. They need to harness the opportunities created by the fact that we are living in this beautiful continent. And the film industry doesn't need you to set up factories. You basically shoot in these locations. They are just there in nature. So, they can just take off that. And then collaboration becomes important also when you realize that a given film project will actually need a number of these different locations. And they may not be all in the same country. So then this is where you find a production can be shot in this. So I really believe that the film industry is the way to go. We are watching people really becoming seriously rich and achieving a lot in terms of financially from the art industry in America and also in the European countries and Asia. And so Africa should follow suit. This is a career that must be followed by young people, even from school. We need to really formalize our industry and get it to work so that the arts and the creative industry as a whole, it stops being that thing that parents are afraid of, that it will impoverish their children. It needs to be something where someone is driven by passion to do it. It needs to be matched with finances that can help you to even put bread on the table as a young person when you have a family. Thank you, Mr. Maima.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I think I laugh because we all go through that experience, and it goes back to this issue of professionalization, right? Whether you're an actor, whether you're a director of cinematography, there's always a need and an importance to learn and learn more. I'll close off my part before I ask Ndate Monna to come through by saying, on a current project that I'm working on that is very VFX intensive, I had to do a bit of research about the visual effects industry on the continent and the opportunities, and about what VFX means for the future. And I'd like to say to the young filmmakers sitting in the room there, to say that there is statistics that recently came out to say that some of the most profitable jobs in the film industry are no longer producing and directing. Some of the most sought after employees or creators are coders with perhaps an art background, but people that are able to use artificial intelligence, people that are able to use blockchain technology, people that are able. So technology presents us with a totally different opportunity right now for us to tell our stories. And as we move into this new era or level of our cooperation, where even at a film festival, we've got Luxor, Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho in one room, just like that. We weren't previously able to do this. I had to go to Burkina Faso and Ouagadougou and fly via France or Doha first. So times are changing. Technology is becoming very important. And so in closing, Dade Monna, what are the closing remarks from your side from Botswana? But also, because I'll not come in again, I'll throw the baton to Aza as well and say, please, can you highlight those particular technological opportunities that you have noticed specifically in Egypt? So technological opportunities that you think will change the way that we are able to work together. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Me or Botswana?
Oh,
or
I wanted you to finish, Aza. So
yes,
you speak last.
Botswana, go.
Okay, thank you very much. I think from Botswana, from myself, the first thing that I will say is I'm challenging the government of Africa to harmonize the laws around this industry such that they make and facilitate collaboration between us at every level of entry into the industry. That's number one. Number two, I would challenge also, especially the government of Botswana, to differentiate and empower creativity, and also put a lot of effort in harnessing and improving and providing a conducive environment for business of the creativity to thrive. Because I think in most countries, our work, our intellectual property work is regarded as a hobby. And I would like to say this is not a hobby. This is life changing. This is the only industry, I think, which is a melting pot, which hits every other industry, facilitate all other industries you can think of. So when a film is made, all industries are energized, are injected with energy, and they're ready to work. So this is a big GDP spinner. And I would like to challenge our governments to ensure that they realize this power and harness it to create lasting jobs. If I give an example, when COVID hit, everybody was locked out in their houses. So who was entertaining everyone so that they can remain sane and empowering them to fight this pandemic? It was us, the hobby makers. Why are we still relegated to the hobby when we were doctors, when everybody was locked behind their doors? We were the doctors. We were essential workers, but we were never given the privilege of essential workers. And I would like to challenge our governments to look at that. And to the youth and to every other practitioner, I would like to say this industry is here to stay. And this industry has got enough room for everyone. And this industry is driven by passion. But passion alone will not necessarily put food on the table. You need to marry passion with commerce. You need to educate yourself and collaborate and network for you to be able to benefit from this industry. It is a powerhouse, and this is the only industry which can take us to the future. Whether it's the future in IP or in artificial intelligence, it is going to need us. Those advertisement, those PSAs, information dissemination, it passes through us. So this is the time our governments understood this and paid homage to the work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, and all the best with your efforts. As I'm going to ask you to close our discussion,
Yes.
this South-South, just to set the context,
Yes.
South-South dream has been, something that we've been working on for a very long time. I'd like you to speak about, if you may, the importance of Pan-African federations, like, for example, FEPASI. You would know about FEPASI and the importance of such organizations. But the process of making sure that we've had many of these talk shops, and even though we say that they've been talk shops, we're really starting to see the fruits of the work that we've been doing over the last 20 to 25 years. How would you say that the importance of technology is possibly a new opportunity in helping or making it easier for us to be able to work and continue to work together?
First, answering your previous question about collaboration together, I accept and agree. Okay, we will see how the process. Okay. During those 2 years of COVID-19, there was nothing but this kind of the means of technology and the social media to collaborate through talking and trying to create some suitable project for those kind of platforms. So it is useful. So it could be useful in all many sides. For example, in Egypt, we had a problem caused by the bureaucracy of the government that if you want to shoot a film in Egypt, it is very difficult, very complicated. You could take like months to get into Egypt, and it could be refused. Now, Luxor African Film Festival take initiative to make it accessible with the governmental, element, and to help raising the awareness about this important matter of like shooting in Egypt, because now we don't have like the commission as you have. We have a national film center, which is not like spreading working. It is also the bureaucratic control its actions. We are trying to solve those kind of like collaboration, co-producing, and through technology, of course, because if you take like one window, it will be all solved through using the technology. This kind of technology we need. Also, about collaboration, it is very essential, and I can see that it is like realizing now through also that we have like this quickly access to each other helps us to more be collaborated. For us also, we collaborated before with FISBACO. We had a protocol with FISBACO, with GCC Tunis, with Khoribka Morocco, with Tanzania, with Sudan. I think we have as individual or founders of those kind of effective initiatives, festivals or platforms or labs, we have to stay on developing and spreading the word of this kind of collaboration meaning.
I thank you very much, Azai. I thank you, Aubrey, and Luana Tatemona. And I close off this discussion by saying to the young film practitioners that are sitting in Rustenburg right now, to say that for me, Africa became a very, very small place once I discovered this thing called African cinema. For me, my brother from Mali, from Burkina Faso, the names, the languages, the rivers became closer, familiar through African cinema. I've had the opportunity to meet some of the most amazing people. I've had the opportunity to travel the most amazing places because of cinema. And because I tried to straddle this line between passion and profit. You have a choice to make. You either say sometimes you choose the passion or you choose the profit, but there's a very thin line that you are choosing as a young filmmaker to say your commitment to telling the African story. There are so many people, some of them sitting on this panel, that have already done some of the work. So the challenge is to you as young filmmakers to take on the baton and to make this Africa smaller, you know, make this Africa more connected. And on that particular note, I really would like to thank all of the panelists and to thank the Film Festival and to say that we look forward to being together again, either in Luxor, in Botswana, in Lesotho, or at the Rustenburg Film Festival next year. I thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Were we supposed to check out today? So.
Essa vitória